Welcome back to part 2, Dream Big Summit, here with John Burgos, creating a better life for yourself and the planet. And we had just an amazing conversation about some true life challenges that he and his partner went through when she was diagnosed with what he found out later was a death sentence of 6 weeks, and the miraculous power of their focused consciousness and creating miracles of healing that he just shared with us, and the importance of co-creating versus manipulating through manifestation. So we learn about co-creating versus manipulating, and the beauty of the journey of evolution of consciousness that comes from co-creating reality with the divine. So, John, thank you very much for being back here. And for everybody who hasn't done so, please watch that video. Absolutely, absolutely stunning and worthwhile listening to 25 minutes of his nuggets. For all that are new to this, John Burgos is the founder of the show Beyond the Ordinary, and an amazing free audio show where he interviews amazing speakers about all aspects about spirituality. So for all of you who would like to find out more about all these amazing speakers that he offers free of charge on a weekly and daily basis, actually, you can click up here on the button to sign up with him and to get whatever offers he has. I know he has a number of free offers on his site, Beyond the Ordinary Show. So if you sign up right here, it'll take you there. So John, without further ado, thank you for being back.
I'm loving this conversation. This is so fun.
Yes, it's juicy and it's going to get juicier. So I promised everybody we will talk about soulmating, soulmate relationship. And let me ask you first to get started, when your journey of the last the years with struggling about the health, and then your partner got healthy, before you'd entered that phase, you'd been contemplating ending the relationship. And of course you didn't end it right when she needed you. So you were stood and hung in there. But then something in you matured and kept going. And so tell us how that story continued. And then what did you do? And what did you discover about yourself?
Oh, that's really interesting. So after all the treatments were done, and there was really a complete bill of health, and she led some retreats, and I kind of nudged her along to say, you know, you can actually do this and start living your life again, because she felt really fragile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was something about really encouraging the momentum to keep going instead of huddling and hibernating into the safety of it. And as that got encouraged, just different scenarios started showing up that were clearly indicating that the relationship as we had it was transitioning. And I truly believe that we sewed up for each other as souls to go through that experience together. As a matter of fact, the first time I met her, we had spent 3 days together at an event in San Diego. And I looked at her, and I initially got, and I tend to have glimpses of awarenesses that are really profound. I saw that she had cancer. They showed me.
Whoa.
And that's like, why are you guys showing me this? Like, we just need you to know. It's like, all right, thank you. And that's all I remember of it.
So you knew going into the relationship that was a very strong potential.
I knew that it was the potential, and I forgot it as quickly as I received it.
Okay.
I actually carried guilt about that after she was diagnosed, because I thought I should have said something. Why didn't I do anything? But it was divine timing. She may not have gotten well. It could have been another treatment that she sought had I intervened in a way that I wasn't called to, out of guilt, out of fear, out of judgment on myself.
That's such an amazing concept, because a lot of people who see the future in advance do carry at times that sense of guilt, as if they're co-creating that reality or should have done something about it. And the truth is that we have, it's a fine line between destiny and free will.
Yeah.
And it all has to do with the choices we make along the way. If we graduate, we rise to a higher understanding of vibration, we get to have free will. If not, there is a lesson plan, and that's called usually fate or destiny.
Yeah. Well, and for me, if I'm looking back at it, for me, it was the invitation for me to grow in that situation. Are you going to be the one to experience the dharmic parts of this pinnacle moment in this person's life?
Okay. So that being the purpose, And when it was completed, left you then at?
I really didn't know what I was going to do next. I knew that I had to go explore.
Okay.
Nature was calling me and my soul was calling me into other places. And I just journeyed. I worked from the road. I took trips up into the redwoods. I went up to Mount Shasta. I traveled through Europe for a month, going through all these sacred sites. And it was just an exploration of energies within myself, of things that I had to do, going through my individual journey now, as opposed to sharing and holding space for the feminine, which I had grown up doing all my life.
Oh, okay. So now, after having been there for her in a complete way and realizing that that was the Dharma and you're complete with it, it also set you free to discover yourself.
Absolutely. And aspects of myself that I knew there was something in me that was still waiting to evolve, but I didn't know what it was. Okay. And it took taking the time off energetically from being in other people's fields, from expectations, from how people anticipated that I was supposed to show up, to really go deep within myself, to show up for myself, within myself, and be authentic in what wanted to come out.
Because you, as one of the rare males, have the greater emphasis on empathy, and you're very empathic and very psychic and very capable of seeing into people and see their needs and wants that they put out maybe on you, and then you felt drawn to fulfill them, right?
Oh, it was so much easier to fulfill that because then I was earning love. It's so easy to be loved when you're feeding somebody's needs over and over and over and over again. They want more of that until they get tired of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of enabling, right? True, yeah. Instead of empowering. Yeah. Wow, that's a beautiful perspective, because whether we are male or female, we know that. I know that being there for other people gives you purpose, right? I mean, in a beautiful way, being a mother and having children gives you a defined purpose. But then the woman, when that is done, has to go out and step out of that role. And you've done that too. You've raised two amazing, gorgeous girls, right? I mean, yes. As young as you look, you are actually, you qualify for being, yeah, well, we won't say that out loud, but.
No, I do. I spent my 50th birthday in the Amazon in Peru. That was my birthday gift to myself, an initiation. And it was a calling that I knew I had to go to. And it was part of that male energy coming out and going into the wilderness, into myself.
Okay. Outer and inner.
Outer and inner, to see how intimate I can be with myself. Okay. It was really easy for me to be intimate with other people, because I can feed what I could feel they wanted. Right. But I didn't know what it was like to be intimate with myself, and to get to those places that seemed dark and scary. And they were dark and scary because of the women in my life, all the way down from my childhood, had a projection of what male energy was, that it wasn't good, it wasn't trustworthy, it was dangerous, it was violence, it was all these things. So all my life, I suppressed aspects of myself so that I wouldn't be that for them, so that they would receive me. Wow.
So you became the epitome of the non-male in a way, in order to please the females that wanted a very nice male.
It was conflicting. It was very conflicting, because you have all these stored emotions and urges that need to come out. So during this whole travel time, and it came up in different spurts, there was different layers of aggression, of anger, of sexuality that I was embracing within myself, not running from, not judging, not saying that they're wrong, but actually saying yes.
How did you do that? How did you do it in a practical way?
I let them come up as they came up, and I didn't judge. If I had anger, it was more like, I wonder why this anger is coming up, instead of stop the anger, it's wrong. Okay. What are you trying to tell me? It's like, oh, my sexuality is coming up. I wonder how I can use that in my creations, in my mates. If I happen to be seeing someone that I'm interested in, how can I put that energy in a way that really is authentically mine, feed the force of it, and still honor the other person on the other side? And part of my realization, Ilona, was that if anybody's showing up for me in that particular time in my life, we've agreed to it.
Okay.
So if I have a burst of something that may seem unacceptable, that person is truly there. You as a soul are there to say, okay, I'm going to help you see something within yourself because you're helping me see something in myself as well.
Beautiful. So it's a mutual engagement rather than, oh, I'm so bad, this is coming up, and they're having to suffer.
It's always a mutual engagement. We don't do anything solo in this world. And if there's anybody sitting across the table from you, they're their purpose, they're a gift. And open your eyes and try to receive it as much as you can.
That is beautiful. So you started going into a dialogue with your own negative feelings, into dialogue with the other as an authentic other. You said, okay, anger, what? And first noticing it, and then dialoguing with it. And incidentally, that gives it the feeling of honor, doesn't it?
It does. It merges. It merges the strength of what's really coming up. Because again, we've been taught from a very mental perspective that anger does this, this, and this. And from our soul perspective, it's an expression of power wanting to create.
Yes.
So it's been misunderstood. It's been misaligned. It's been put in a box. And anything that's been put in a box that has that much energy, that much life force, is going to rattle some cages in order to get loose.
Right, and to get heard. And maybe let's say, it's best thing that it knows how to do, but once you ask it what it really wants, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
It wants to create something more powerful, more beautiful, more true, just, loving, whatever. Awesome.
And, what was really liberating for me also, Ilona, was the awareness that I got to a certain point in my life. I've done enough spiritual work and did a lot of the demon work and shamanic journeying, various journeys, and we'll talk about journeying with you in a little bit.
Okay.
But I got through enough of it where my doubts, my fears were not leading the show. They were not running my life. I got to a point where I felt like I crossed this threshold. And where the intentionality, the foundation of my intentions were really love.
That's awesome. I love that. Yes.
And at that point, if anger came up, my intention is love. It's like, okay, if anger's coming up, it's from love. Why?
Where does it want to take me?
From judgment, anger, and all those other lower vibrational toned feelings. It's like, oh, let me look at this, and it's an old wound, or it's something up, or it's like, okay, how can we reformat that to lead it back to its core of love?
Core of love and its positive expression, its expression of empowerment. Yes. And that's actually how we create time jumps. That's how when we do that with any problem, create the opening into the quantum field that takes us to the fulfillment rather than the negation of it.
Oh, I love that. I can see that. I can see it when you speak of it. That's so beautiful. Creative universes. Yes.
God, I love you too. I just adore how you bring full presence into everything. So one more question on then sexuality. When you encountered what you said, sexual urges, obviously you were seeing someone. How did you feel that was bad? And why did judgment come up? And how did you turn it around?
The sexuality I didn't think was bad. I think I was suppressing part of the power, part of the maleness. I think I was opening it up just enough because I thought that maybe it was safe for the other person, for the woman that I was with. And so in that, we repress, we hold back, we don't really express who we are.
The intensity of them.
And the truth is that we're attracted to the fullness of what someone is and their potential of it. So it created a lot of confusion for my partners along the way, my ex-wife, my former girlfriend, other people that I had seen along the way. They don't know what they're stepping into because you're confused with what you're doing with your energy also.
So you were being a nice guy, a nice sexual guy, and did all the right things, but not necessarily all the parts of you got to show up.
Not in its full emanation. There was a holding back. There was always a making sure that the other person was taken care of first, that she was always feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling all these other things. And in that, how I express myself in the world emanated the same way. It's safe, it's secure, it gets by, it earns just enough love. But I wasn't giving myself the love. I wasn't giving the expression of it, right?
So then so now with anger, you dialogued. What did you do with that sexuality then? How did you get it to open up and to embrace yourself with the fullness of who you are?
I started giving myself permission to. Again, I got to that place where I knew what my intentions were whenever I showed up in a relationship.
Mm.
And I knew in that, again, realizing, knowing without a doubt that the other person is showing up to allow me to express myself. I'm showing up to allow them to express themselves and see who they are and their full potential. And if it lasts a day, it lasts a day. If it lasts 10 years, it lasts 10 years, and it's divine.
Cool.
And we get into so much judgment as to what relationships are supposed to be and what they're not. A friend of mine, I was seeing a woman I really liked her a lot. We saw each other for 3 weeks, and it ended. We have a beautiful love affair. It was amazing. It was amazing. And a friend of mine is like, I knew it wasn't going to work out. It's like, what do you mean it wasn't going to work out? It worked out divinely. It's so beautiful. And who are you to judge if it only lasted 3 weeks, that nothing was gained out of it, that everything was lost? It's like saying, oh, you have cancer, you're going to die.
Right.
It's the same story. We perpetuate all of these stories based on conditioning and environmental propaganda that says it has to show up a certain way or else it's not going to work out.
Exactly.
Says who?
Says who?
Says who?
So cool. So what I really feel from you is one of the core things, and what I loved you said in the first interview is take your time. You take your time to grow. Do your homework. Do your dialoguing with your shadows. Do your whatever it takes, whatever techniques work for you. But what you came to was a moment of realizing that you are good, that your core is good. And I think that is, when we come to that, it's our self-esteem blossoms.
It does. You cannot make a wrong decision from that point. Every decision you make from that foundational level of love, there are no wrong turns. It's just an experience.
Right.
No, let me take that back. It's not just an experience. It's a divine experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's perfect. And it's no longer, am I bad? It's like, wow, this is it. I'm opening to the divine. I'm opening to love. I am love.
Yeah. Choose a door and explore it fully and wonder and see the innocence of it and play with it. That's what we're here to do.
Awesome. I love that. So let's talk about this subject of soulmates.
Yes.
Tell me everything you think about soulmates, and then let's talk about how we can create meeting as souls in the first place.
Well, we may contradict about soulmates. I don't know. It's, I've gotten to a point where I know that I don't know. I don't know.
Well, tell me anything. Well, let's start here. What is the typical assumption about soulmates?
Oh gosh, you're going to meet someone who's absolutely perfect for you. You're going to live blissfully forever your life, and they're going to support you in this idealistic romance that's going to last eternity that no one else has because they're not as special as you are. Right?
No other person fit the shoe. Right, exactly. I think it came out of the Greeks mythology that believed, and one of mythology was that there was a being that had been cut into halves, and the male and the female half, and one always had the perfect match. There was only one match, and that was your soulmate. And if you met them, great. And if you didn't, well, too bad.
A dear friend of mine, he's got his own take on soulmates, and I love his concept of it because he talks about soulmate friends and soulmate lovers.
Okay.
And how there's a difference between the two. And if you're with a soulmate friend that you're trying to make a lover, it's not going to work.
So there are some that are better to be soul friends and others are soul lovers.
Yeah. And so there's more of a vibrational match, congruency and intimacy that gets met in different levels. And I love that concept of it.
Uh-huh.
And the truth is, with all of this experience, if we really just want to take it down to the bare bones,
yes,
we're here to get to intimately know ourselves. It's an expression that we get to live, to explore who we are, what's possible within us, and anybody else that shows up in that is helping us to co-create that. And so everybody, as far as I'm concerned, is a soulmate. A listener on my show is a soulmate. You're a soulmate. The woman that I'm with now, she's a soulmate. It's a beautiful divine connection that I don't want to give less energy to because I gave it a particular role.
So I got this letter from this lady, dear Ilona, dear Abby, I found my soulmate, and we are the perfect match, except he doesn't know that he's my soulmate. And how can I, bring it to him? And he's not awake enough yet. It's like I'm going, okay, let's have some basic understanding about what soulmates are. Soul mate means you mate at a soul level in my book. And this is only purely my description. So let's just agree on the fact that when we connect at a soul level, we can learn to connect, be it friends or mates or whatever, merge. But what we have to be is aware enough at a soul level.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So first of all, let's all just become aware of that level first, because it's no sense in saying this husband of mine isn't soul awake yet, but he's my soulmate. It's like, well, that's nice, but how are you going to merge your souls when he can't even realize or touch into that part of himself consciously yet? So really, we have to do the homework, and that's what you're saying. It's an individual path to God realization. It's becoming soul aware, self-realization first. And that's when we start meeting others who have that same ability.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about that, because the truth is whenever we create expectations for other people, we're creating resistance in the field. So when we get to the point where we can flow, and we're creating that resistance, first of all, because there's something we're resisting within ourselves. We're expecting someone else to make us whole somehow.
Right.
And what's beautiful to be supported in our self-awareness of wholeness. It's another thing asking someone to give you a limb so that you can start walking again.
And similar to what you said in the first part, manipulation, manifestation, and co-creation. You know, so love, instead of needing another person to complete me, I show up whole to then co-create a new dimension.
Yeah, and when you show up whole, again, the magic that starts showing up when you're actually creating from wholeness, not from asking someone else to fulfill something within you, then you get into divine partnerships. Right. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for that connection and divinity. But they have to realize the divinity within themselves first, so that they can match the resonance that they're looking for. And so a lot of people talk about twin flames and all that. I think twin flames are probably a more appropriate subject by term of the definitions, that they're helping you to see your limitations and where you're stuck, and they're going to help you through it. But again, they're boxes, they're terms that really put a container on the essence of what's really showing up for you. And if we can put the perspective on it that allows us to see with a broader lens, then we'll really get the lessons a lot quicker, and we'll be able to start manifesting divine relationships that are in divine free will, divine will instead of free will.
Yes, and co-creative, and become a cauldron of creation, co-creation with the divine. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So now, what does soul awakening look like? I mean, any part of your journeys that you've discovered, how would you describe what is soul? I mean, I'm going to ask you all these difficult questions.
You're bringing it on.
So how would you describe, let's just say it's a personal opinion. How do you describe soul, and what is soul awareness? I mean, what are the nuances thereof, and how do we get there?
Oh God, that is a fantastic question. And how do I begin to answer that?
Yeah, anywhere.
It's, for me, you start talking about soul, there's expression that starts emanating from my solar plexus and up from my heart. And it's an emotional tone, but a physical energy that starts coming in also, that starts creating something in the energy and potentiality. And it does so from this consciousness, this awareness of what's available in this divine order to help us access that connection with source.
And what you're doing right now is you are describing an anchored sensation that we can get through, and you are describing yourself, through the visceral sensation of aliveness of all your chakras, your solar plexus, your heart, your sexual chakra, your expression, your consciousness. Instead of what many people do is put soul out there somewhere in the universe as discorporated, just detached from the body. I love that. I love you doing that. So again, if you do that in one sentence, is this aliveness? Can you do that again?
Yeah, it's this emanation of energy. It's really, if you know what a toroid is, and you get into it's the in and out, it's the weaving that's happening between source and us on a continuous basis, and that co-creation that happens in the soul. It's it's the center of that. It's the awareness of everything beyond anything that we perceive as limitation.
Oh, that is so poetic. Awesome. So it is the merging point of self and allness, of the part and the whole. You're saying,
I love how you said that. Yes.
I mean, you just said that. I just rephrased it. I mean, the toroid, where the individual, where the self meets with the divine, where the two touch, is the actual. I mean, I love that as a description of awakened soul.
It's the axis mundi. It's the tree of life, and that center. It's where heaven meets earth. That's what we're here to create as human beings.
Yes, yes.
And you talked about sensuality alone. I mean, my God, we're human. We are in human form. We get to have flesh and touch and feel, and Jesus, enjoy it for all that you can, because it's such a beautiful experience.
And the moment we take it from soul and soul awareness and surrender to divinity, it becomes no longer egoic, self-pleasuring, gluttonous, but it becomes opening, service, creations, giving, loving, radiating light and love.
You're creating galaxies when you're in there. It's absolutely amazing. It's orgasmic. It's the most beautiful thing that we can do in human expression.
Right. So let's take that into meeting two soul awake points of consciousness that are in touch with the core divine, or in and of themselves, each one being plugged into their own center of the toroid, then merging in the combined chamber of co-creation.
Oh, that's a fun journey. Yes. Yes.
So tell me any of your experiences you've had. I mean, you and I do that. You have people with whom you do that. I have, it's what I live and breathe for. It's my ultimate sense of what I want to share in the world. But tell me anything that you know or want to describe about it.
Oh my God. Well, first I have to give credit to you first, because you introduced me to this going in the way that you do. Was a beautiful invitation. And it's, again, you reached out to me, say, hey, I want to do something with you. Let's start. I do this with a couple of people. Let's go in there and see what happens. And so, again, with a sense of wonder and excitement, I said yes. And you took me on this amazing, let me take that back. You invited me, because I had to say yes.
Right.
You invited me on an amazing journey that it's so beautiful to even begin to describe. So we meet at a particular place, and we just hold space as we go through our individual journey into what's available to us.
Essentially into.
But something in that amplification of being together allows us to go up and then expand what we can do individually, but in co-creation with someone else, especially when there's not a preconceived judgment of what it's supposed to be.
Right. Or even wanted and needed. It's like a free moment of God meeting God. Yeah. That's why I said it takes soul-realized beings. So you have to do your homework. You can't do this with, when you're just in the infancy shoes of being a human. I mean, it takes time, and everybody listening here is already been on the path. So when you pop through into that self-loving and realizing that you are God's love incarnated, and then you connect that, it's no longer the yogi out by himself in his own cave. It's like the merging of the two consciousnesses. Then that is like God looking back at itself in this dimension.
But what was really important for me, Ilona, and actually when we're talking about the masculinity that was rising up within me, I really have to give you credit for awakening some of that also through our journeying, because when we started journeying, some of the things that would start lighting up were very physical in its manifestation. My root chakra would light up, and instead of having judgments, I would allow it to flow through instead of trying to repress it. It's like, oh, this is a good space to be in, and I'm allowed in this space because of the strength that you carry. Yeah. To be the expression of that. And so it would percolate up, and my body would light up, and it would start going all the way up, and my chakras would light up, and it was very grounded, very masculine, and meeting the feminine also, as you were the aspect of the feminine that was showing up. And just to allow myself the process of feeling that and not judging it, and allow the energy to do what it wants to do in service to me, right? Instead of resisting this gift that's trying to be given to me, allowing it. And from that, and allow that energy to go up through the different chakras and then expand and explode
Yeah. Yeah.
into other realms as I met you in those realms.
Yeah. And then it's like I mean, I felt the same thing. And I think if we are awake enough to endure our aliveness, then we can say, okay, I'm on fire. I'm alive. I'm lit. And I don't have to go marry the first person I have these sensations with. I always say in seminars, please, 6 months, no marriage contracts. Most people fall in love all over the place and they feel like, attracted and wanting to marry these people. And it's like, look, this is what happens when we are awake. Let's learn to tolerate awakeness.
That's beautiful. And the truth is, if you're supposed to be together, you will be. You don't have to rush it.
Yeah.
And that love doesn't dissipate because you're not married.
Right.
Actually, if you don't put a label on it, it gives it the opportunity to expand into something even bigger.
Exactly. And actually, I think at that level, when we start living at that soul awake level, we are truly more of a grid work of intersecting light lines that have these soul mated relationships. Like you said, we have all these soulful connections, these cauldrons of co-creation of something greater that spans our world, maybe metaphorically and physically speaking, as an illumination, a network of illumination. It's no longer tied to just one singular expression of body, mind, and spirit.
Oh God, no. We're expanding on so many different levels, and whatever work we happen to be doing on this earth plane that we realize there's so much other things that we're doing energetically through our expression of who we are and how we're co-creating in other realms. It's science is getting it. They're actually documenting it, which is wonderful, and that's a whole different conversation. But what we're doing through our experiences, it has ripple effects beyond our capacity of understanding.
And what I have found is that when we merge with others in heightened states of consciousness, and God is realized within that space, truly, it almost ignites the bigger time, space, or consciousness body of each one of us, and then sets us alight for the purpose, whatever we're capable of expressing on this planet, spreading more love and more light.
Yeah, I've heard it said that one soul on fire is equivalent to 10,000 that are asleep.
Awesome. I mean, so when you are sharing this kind of consciousness now, what do you feel like we are growing as a human body and having more and more people reaching into those levels?
Oh my, I am so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about what I see and feel, and it's really beautiful seeing the show grow and looking for new talent for the show, because it's really easy to say there's only a small group of people who carry consciousness that's can represent the show right. But there's people that are coming out of the woodworks with gifts and messages that are really congruent with what's going on. So the multitude of information that's being shared and the teachers that are coming forward are an indication that more and more people are ready to open up
and to hear,
to receiving and to embodying it and to hear it, and then themselves start teaching it in one form or another. Whether it's through their family, through their work, through just being the expression of who they are, or in a bigger platform. We're all doing it, and we don't get to judge how we do it, but we get to enjoy the experience of how we do it and understand why we do it is through that foundation of love. And in that, we are surrendering to a divine order that's really here to show us the love that's available to us.
Right. And we become a co-creative expression of that love.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I'm speechless at you. I love every word you utter. I love the authenticity. You live for me the expression of authenticness. You bring every question to a felt sense of what is true for you, lived, expressed. I love that.
The truth, Ilona, and that's one thing I want to show everybody. A lot of people have their version of truths, and all I can tell you is I have to live my truth, and my truth can be whatever it is, And I have the right to change that truth at any moment because of a new awareness, a new experience, a different emotion that I have. And so in that, like I said before, there are no wrong choices, but as we live our truth, that authenticity has a stronger and stronger foundation on which to grow upon.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. I have a picture of a master being that I have. It's a fictional, just right behind the screen of the computer I'm looking at. And the intensity that that picture is looking at me with is the same intensity you're looking at. So I have this double effect of real you and internal dimensional mastership.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you. Yeah. John, is there anything else? I mean, I obviously want to encourage people to connect with you. Is there anything that you would like me to put out for you? Is there anything that people can download from you that you want to share?
Well, we had the free gift that we provided to the show. There's a sun meditation that I was guided through from Source that took me into clearing karma.
Okay.
So you guys definitely want to check that out. It was so powerful. I shared it on a shamanic course that I taught a couple of months ago, and people were transformed by it. And it's not me; it came through me.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful process. You guys, it's free. Participate in that. It's about 10 to 12 minutes. Do it several times. You will definitely shift perspectives on that. And then come join the show. You can go to the show on beyondtheordinaryshow.com. And there's great conversations there. I have my own shows from time to time that I do, but typically we host other people and we just expand into what's available. And it's beyond just the conversation. There's tools, there's processes. We really leave you with an enriched experience so that you can take it forward and build something upon it.
Cool. Awesome. So download the free gift from John that gives you the personal experience to go with eyes closed into your own psyche and do that again and again and again. Like John said, it takes mastership, it takes practice, it takes time to evolve into these different levels of yourself. So give yourself the time. Continue the journey or start the journey wherever you're at. And just keep that goal in your vision, that divine co-creation and entering into union with the divine is the greatest gift we can give back.
Oh, beautiful. Yes.
So with that, I'd like to leave you here. Thank you for having been here, John. Thank you for having taken the time. You're in New York right now on a trip. I know that you will surprise us with some things.
Yes, they're coming.
Yeah, I got a little sneak preview, but I do think sometimes it's really good to keep new manifestations or about to manifest things in a little bit of a sacred container until they do have their feet under them. So I'm not making you talk about what is going to come, but we'll just see it when it happens.
Oh, beautiful, Ilona. It's such a pleasure being here and such a gift. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to everyone watching this. It's truly an honor to get to share my perspective with you.
Wow. And you have, I mean, you are a gem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.